Regardless of your skill level, by the end of this video, you're going to learn how to dominate on defense in Madden 26. And I'm not one of those YouTube bots saying all of those things, because I've made thousands of dollars competing, coached hundreds of players, beaten some of the best pros in the world, and even have tips on the official EA website. So you know, what I'm about to show you isn't the typical YouTube clickbait you find online. And make sure to stay until the end of the video, because these tips get better and better as we go through. Now for the first tip, I'm going to show you how to go from giving up the seams every play to shutting them down without having to make any pre-snap adjustments. Now to do this, all you actually have to do is stay in the play call menu, go to formation, and then press down on the right stick. So that's R3. So you're pressing it like this, right? And that'll open your coaching adjustments. Then what you're going to do is scroll down to safety depth and switch it to close. Tight is a little bit too close to the line. You might get beat deep, but close is a nice in between that'll bring the safeties into the box, and that'll pretty much prevent the seams from being thrown. So when I call this, let's get everybody out of the way. You could see that Cole Bishop here is now about 8 yards off the line of scrimmage. So if I go to try to throw the seam, let's say we go to try to throw a triangle here, you're gonna see that it's gonna be very difficult for me, and the safety is gonna be right there for a pick. But if the safety was further back, I'll actually manually move it back here. You're gonna actually see that the seam will be much more open, even if it's a couple more yards back, right? So let's just do it, and you can see it's there, right? So you really want to just have your safety depth on close. That'll bring your safeties about 8 yards from the line of scrimmage. So when they go and try to throw this seam route, your safety is right there to go and make a play, knock it out, and get an interception. Now we're going to take a look at by far the best blitzing style that all the pros are using right now. To set up the Texas four-man, you have to start with selecting the right formation. And the best formations for this are the nickel 3-3 double mug and the nickel 3-3 single mug. Now I like the Green Bay Playbook because it has both of them, but nonetheless, I'm gonna select the single mug version, and it doesn't matter if you have auto flip on or off. The other thing that is actually really important is you wanna have your defensive ends be as fast as possible. So if I were using the Chiefs as an example, I would use Leo Chanel, and then I'd also use Drew Tranquil on the edges. Although they're not the best pass rushers, they're gonna be much better for this D-line stunt. And then all I'm going to do is select pretty much any play, spread my defensive line, okay? So let me show you, spread defensive line, and then press left on the D-pad, the right bumper, and then press left on the D-pad again, and select the Texas four-man. Now that is the long way of doing it. I'll show you a quick way in a moment, which you're gonna see Texas four-man, and when I snap the ball, one or both of these defensive ends are going to usually come in. Granted, it is not 100% of the time you are only sending 4 people, but I promise they are going to come in, and when they come in, it's fast like that, right? And I'll run it a few times just to show you that it is fairly consistent. You're gonna have one of these players come in, they're going to end up, you know, sometimes all 3 players come in just like that, right? Because it's such a really, like, you have so many players forcing themselves into the middle of the field that you're pretty much guaranteed to get someone in free. Now, every once in a while, you won't get anyone, but the majority of the time, someone's coming in free like that. Now, that is the long way of setting it up. The quickest way by far is to hold the button of the play you're gonna call. So let me just select an offensive play. So I'm gonna select cover 4 quarters. So that's all I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna collect cover 4 quarters, I'm gonna select it. I'm gonna hold the X button, and then I'm gonna press up on the D-pad, and that's gonna select the Texas four-man when I release the button. So I'm gonna release the button. You're gonna see it's already set up for me at this point, so I can just shade underneath and then spread my defensive line, right? The shade underneath is just a coverage adjustment, but you're gonna see this will work the exact same, and we still get someone in, and we don't have to do all those adjustments at the beginning. So that's the Texas four-man, the absolute best defensive line stunt in Madden 26. If you haven't noticed already, some hook zones are completely bugged and guard absolutely nothing. So for tip number 3, I'm gonna show you how to drop your hook zones so they play 10 times better. So to make your hook zones play properly, you need to go to your coaching adjustments and then scroll down to zone drop hooks, and you want to set that to 5 or 10. I prefer 5. Now, the other thing I'd like to mention is that vert hooks will always match, right? So if you have a vert hook on the field, whether they're zone dropped or not, they're going to match. Let me show you a quick example here. So right now I have a vert hook on the right of my screen. And you're gonna see if I call a combo with the tight end on a drag, so something that maybe looks like this, right? So the tight end is on a drag and everyone's being pushed kind of to the left, and then on the backside, there's like a zig and an out route. Now, in most cases, you would assume our 5-yard vert hook would go and be near the zig route, right? Or maybe near the out route on the right side of the screen. But in reality, this vert hook is actually going to run and match onto the drag, leaving R1 wide open. So setting your zone drops is not enough. You actually have to have the right zones on the field. So what I would do is call a play with stock hook zone curls on the slot corner. Once again, you do not want vert hooks, you want hook zone curls, right? Or just hook curls in general. So now that I have hook zone curls, take a look. I'm gonna run this pretty much this exact same play, and I want you to watch how it does not match this drag route, and he's kind of in position to go make a play on the zig route, or at least hold it for a smaller gain. Now, the other benefit of hook zone curls that not many people talk about is that they do a great job at covering drags going to the short side of the field. So for example, on Brian Thomas Jr. here, we have a drag going from the left to the right, going towards the short side of the field. And all I actually have to do is leave my 5-yard hook zone curl, and what you're going to see is that he's going to be in a near perfect position to go make a play on that drag and get an interception. So hook zone curls at 5 to 10 yards of depth are really, really, really good. And the last thing I do want to mention here is that linebackers pretty much always have hook curls on, right? So you can't put a vert hook on a linebacker. You can see the options are hook curl, middle read, curl flat, and all of those. So it'll play very similar to a hook zone curl. So you don't have to worry about the linebackers being in those weird matching vert hooks. Instead, they're gonna play like slot corners. So you can put hook curls on your linebackers, and if you want them on your slot corners, you need to call base cover 2 plays. So that's it. That's how you make your hook zones 10 times better. Before I show you the rest of these insane tips, and you absolutely cannot afford to miss them, let me tell you about the resource that's changing how players approach Madden and CFB 26. And that resource is victoryformation.gg, which already has 3 full game plans and 15 plus elite tips, like breaking flat zones for massive gains and freezing inside thirds for guaranteed touchdowns, tips you won't find anywhere else. Now, our members are dominating online, crushing their league competition, and some are even winning hundreds of dollars in tournaments. So if you're ready to join the winning team, you can get your first month for only $11.95 using code SWOLO. For tip number 4, we're going to show you how to absolutely shut down shotgun runs using run shoots. To shoot gaps, the most important thing to note is how the offensive line is targeting you and where your position is. So for example, if I'm sitting right here and I'm going to try to shoot this gap, I'm going to run into the offensive lineman, and there's basically going to be no hole for me because that offensive lineman is targeting me. But if I sit outside of the gap, maybe I'm back here, right? I know that that offensive lineman is going to completely ignore me, and we're going to be able to run in and shoot the run in the backfield. So the rule of thumb here, and it's different in every formation, is you want to find a spot that the offensive line doesn't target you, so that usually that's outside of the furthest player in the box, usually defensive lineman. And then on top of that, you also want to make sure that you're hovering opposite the running back, right? So usually it's going to be an inside zone, and they're going to run towards the left of the field, so from right to left or left to right. But once again, the most important thing is you're sitting outside of this box, you're untargeted, so you can come right in and go and make a tackle, right? It's really, really effective. It's really, really simple. Once again, just to show it a few times, you're sitting outside the box, and then you're coming in clean and going to make that tackle, right? It's really easy, and that will really help you stop people who spam shotgun runs and try to catch you off guard. Now we're going to take a look at casino blitzing, which is the fastest way to blitz right now if you're really willing to send the dogs. To run the casino blitz, you just want to have 425 over G in your playbook, and then select the casino blitz. That's really it. Then there's only really one adjustment you need to make after this. You need to press right on the D-pad and then the right bumper to show blitz your linebackers, and then you're going to use this blitzing slot corner and bring them into the box. Now the alignment looks a lot like a 4-3 even 6-1, except the linebackers are more to the inside. But the added benefit here is that these linebackers are going to absolutely scream. You're going to see one or both of the linebackers are going to come in clean. Granted, you are sending 6 people, but what you'll also notice is you can actually zone out this left of screen defensive end and only send 5 people, and you'll still have someone coming free. And then the other thing that you can do is you can actually zone out this left of screen defensive end and this left of screen linebacker and only send 4 people. And what you're going to notice is that the player will come in. Granted, I did engage there. You don't want to engage like that. You actually want to pull up a little bit, but you still want to get that center's attention. So in this case, I'm only sending 4 people. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit right in this gap and then I'm going to pull up, right? And what you can see is that only sending 4 people, we're screaming in against send 5. So that's why the Casino Blitz is so good and why some of the best pros in the world are using it. For tip number 6, I'm going to show you how to easily improve your switch stick by showing you the 3 most proven techniques. The first technique I'm going to show you is the side switch. But before I get into that, we're going to talk about some little basics of switch stick. Number 1, to switch stick, all you have to do is during the play, you're just going to flick the right stick in the direction of the player you want to switch to based on where you currently are. So for example, if I wanted to go and switch to this hard flat, I'd flick the right stick to the right, just like that, right? It's a really basic technique, but to master it, you have to know what you're doing, and that's why we have these techniques. Now, the other thing I like to mention is that it is the absolute best from a cover 4 defense because you have so much over the top help. You can switch to one of the quarters knowing you have another player in a deep zone that can probably recover for you. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get into the first technique, the side switch, and you're probably already doing it. When opponents are using corner routes, right? You are often going to want to switch to your flat zone and either come down to guard the flat, or in another case, so you can see the flat was completely guarded there, you can actually go and play up to go and guard this corner route. And that'll usually be really good for you, and a lot of people will throw picks against that. But the problem with that is that, well, if you go and switch to this, hard flat zone and you pull up, you are leaving the flat wide open and they can get, 7-8 yards basically for free. And that gets into the second technique, which I like to call the double switch, which is a better way of guarding corner routes, but it's a little bit more high risk. So what I do here is I'll switch to the flat zone and then I'll also switch to the deep outside quarter to go and guard the corner route. So when you go on instant replay here, what you can actually see is that not only is this flat well guarded, but so is this corner route because we're switching here. And then because we're in a cover 4, we don't have to worry because the inside quarter is guarding the streak route, right? So that's really nice. Now, some people are crazy. They'll go and switch to this player, and then switch back to this player to go guard the in route. But that is, once again, really advanced, right? Almost lost my voice there. But then we have the last technique, and this technique is also quite basic, but it is a high risk technique. So let's say you're playing someone who's running, let's say this PA snag combo. And the most common route that they're gonna throw here is probably the drag, but the best route is this post route. And you wanna make sure that it's guarded. So what I recommend you do is just kind of sit in this area, maybe guard this drag, but then switch to this inside quarter and go and play this post route, right? And you can see, once again, you have so much over the top help, let's say on the other side, that any really streak is guarded. And then on this side we have flats because we're in a cover 4. And then all we did is just take one of these quarters and come down and we're gonna go and intercept this post route if they were to throw it. So those are the 3 switch stick techniques you absolutely wanna know, and you wanna get good at recognizing route combos. Usually, I wanna say about 80% of the route combos in the game is a corner and a streak with a flat or a post route, right? And if you can guard those, you're gonna get yourself a lot of interceptions. The next tip we're covering is man shading, which will take your man coverage game to the next level, to the point where you could run it every play. The problem with universal shading is that you're universally shading. Everyone is shading to the outside so they don't get beat to the outside. But the problem with doing this is that if there is a backside route like an in route, that player is going to get beat really bad. So what I recommend you do is universally shade outside, but then press triangle or Y, X or A, square, and then shade to the right. And what that'll do is shade that player on the backside to the inside of that player. So you have a universally shaded outside defense while having a shaded inside backside defender. So if this player goes on an in route, you're gonna see the shaded inside coverage will do a solid job at covering it. He's kind of right there going to make a play, right? As opposed to completely getting fried in the other case. So that's what I recommend you do when you use universal shading. I would pair it with some sense of individual shading, trying to predict your opponent's route combo. Now, if you really want to commit to a route in man coverage, that's when you can use the high risk, high reward route commit feature. Now, I use route committing whenever I'm really getting beat by a route and shading isn't enough. So for example, if this corner route is absolutely killing us and we're shading outside and we're still getting beat, you can see there's still a window to throw that corner route. They could still possession catch it. That's when I really want my defensive back to stick onto the route. So this is when I'll press triangle or Y, X or A, and then select the receiver I want to route commit, so circle in this case, and then you're going to flick the left stick to the right to do it outside. Now you can also do this universally, although I don't recommend it a ton every play. But if you're going to do it universally, I do recommend doing it outside because outside's still really, really good. You can press right bumper and then flick the left stick to the right. Now this is a much more extreme guess than simply shading, but what you're going to notice is that basically any route that goes to the outside, even when you have a positional disadvantage, whether it be the position of your defensive back or the overalls or ratings disadvantages, you're going to see that this route gets absolutely caged. Even when though we were about to lose on the route, you could see he recovers because we did the route commit. So take a look here. I think it's a great example. Because I route committed outside, this player was about to lose but get absolutely fried, but he turns immediately because we used the route commit feature. So if you really want to make a high risk, high reward guess on a receiver's route, you can use the route commit feature. By far, the most popular route right now is the stem down corner. So for this tip, I'm going to show you how to use ghost man or pattern matching to absolutely bag it. Now this isn't a typical cover 4 quarters. We're actually going to be using a cover 2 matching principle by using a soft squad zone while all our zone drops are set to default. It's very important, okay? Now, the problem with the soft squad zone is that, I know there's a problem with the thing I'm just showing you. The problem with this zone is that if they have a flat route, so let's say they run something like, say like this, right? Or let's say an out route, they're gonna match the shorter route rather than the deeper route. So let's say they have the tight end on an out route. So you're gonna see the soft squad is going to go and play the out route, right? Leaving the corner open late, which obviously we don't want. He's still much better than every other zone at guarding that stem corner, but he still came down. So what I like to do here is I'll actually put a hard flat on my slot corner, and then I'm gonna man my user up to the tight end. Now what this does, specifically the man up, this will make sure that the tight end is accounted for relative to the soft squad. So if the tight end goes on a flat and they guard this, they run this exact same combo, the soft squad is going to ignore the tight end and stay on circle. I'll actually try not to throw the ball and just show you that the soft squad, despite there being an out route, sticks onto circle through the entire play. You can see circle's completely bagged. So if you want to actually guard a stem down corner, what I recommend you do is man your user up to the flat threat. Usually that's the tight end. And then all you can do from here is basically leave it, but you still want someone for the flat. So I recommend that you do put a hard flat on as well. So it's kind of like you're Mabling in a way with a matching zone. And you're gonna see, once again, that the stem down corner route that everybody loves to spam is going to get completely caged by this soft squad. You can see literally no chance. If I try to throw it, I am throwing directly at the defensive back, and it's going to result in an interception. So that's how you can bag stem down corners with ghost man, pattern matching, whatever you want to call it, but basically with a soft squad zone paired with a man up of your user. The easiest way to stop someone is in the red zone. So I'm going to show you my favorite red zone defense to get you stops. Now to set up my favorite red zone defense, what I like to do is go to my coaching adjustments and set my hooks to 5. And then if they're at the 7-yard line or closer, I leave my flats at default. But if they are any deeper than that, sort of 7-yard line, 8-yard line, 9-yard line, I'll set my zone drop flats to 10. And then what I'm going to do is call basically any cover 2 play, but I prefer a Tampa 2 drop. And then all I'm going to do is shade underneath by pressing triangle or Y, shade underneath. And then what I'm going to do is click on to this linebacker, the mid read, and then stem him up 1 notch. So to do this, I press X or A when I'm on him, hold the left bumper, and then press up on the D-pad 1 time. So this will just make him play a little bit deeper and match onto those streaks. Now this is really fantastic coverage because, for example, if they were to run, let's say, a streak to the tight end, our mid read is all over that, right? And if he's not there, they're going to be throwing it into the deep half just like so. Now, if they go run some basic combo like this, where they just have a bunch of, little hook zones, or not hook zones, they have a bunch of little hitches, right? All we have to do is just look for the open hitch. And you can see pretty much all the hitches are covered here, and you can even go and switch around and go play whatever, right? And then if they go and try to run, let's say our running back streak route, this can be very common, or a running back wheel, that's also very common in this situation. You're going to see that that wheel route is going to be running straight into one of our hook zones, or a mid read, or a 3-rec, right? You pretty much cover and check all of your boxes with this defense. You guard the middle really well with the mid read, you guard the interior part by the numbers with the hook zones, and then you have your flats playing deep. But once again, if you want the flats to play a little bit deeper, you can put clouds on, right? Maybe you're expecting a deep corner route. And if they go and run a deep corner route, you can, number one, leave your hard flats if you want, even though they're at 10. They'll play a little bit deeper. But you can also, oh, I see a deep corner route coming, go and switch to it, right? And you know that's going to do a fantastic job. So that's how I run my red zone defense. You don't have to do it out of dollar. You don't have to do it out of nickel. You can do it out of basically anything, as long as you are running a cover 2 defense that's shaded underneath, and you have at least one player in the middle being your user. Well, you have 2 hook zone curls on the field, or just 2 hook curls in general. We broke down earlier in the video why vert hooks, aren't very good for this. So yeah, that's my red zone defense. I like to use it, and I get a ton of stops in the red zone. Now that you've learned the absolute best defensive tips, you're going to want to pair it with an elite offense. So click the video on screen for the best one in the game.